Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, I'm Pam Wycliffe, and this is Lunch with the League for the League of Women Voters for August. And as usual, there's a few things that I need to say at the beginning because it's important that I say them, as Beth reminded me how important it is that I say them. We never support or oppose a political party or a candidate. The League of Women Voters is nonpartisan political organization. We encourage informed and active participation in government. And we have two roles. One is we present unbiased information about elections, the voting process and issues. And though we're nonpartisan, but after study, we use our positions to advocate for or against particular policies in the public interest. Those are different than a party or a candidate. We'll be here from now till 1. And our general format will be that our speaker will speak for a half hour, and then we'll have Q&A for a half hour. And please remain muted during the talk. And please put your comments, questions in the chat, and then I'll read them to Todd afterwards, and he can answer them then. And I may take a break every now and then to let people in. So if you want more information about the League of Women Voters and their positions, you can go to, lwvsouthbend.org. And when you get there, you can also see links to the Indiana League of Women Voters and also to the National League of Women Voters, and find out what their positions are and what they are saying at this time. Excuse me. And you can also find out a lot of history about each one of those, which is really interesting. Our news for today, before we get started, is Artbeat, and it's booth 199. And it's from 11 a.m. tomorrow till 7 p.m. tomorrow. And come and be part of it. We have our booth is going to be really fun. People can make buttons. It's on St. Louis Boulevard, adjacent to Howard Park. So if you're not involved in it, then come and visit. The next thing is we're having a voter registration volunteer training. All people who register voters need to be trained. It's a 1-hour training. It's a Zoom generally because that's what people ask me for. I give them an option and they say they want a Zoom. And we're looking at probably in the week of the 18th, that Wednesday or Thursday. And if anybody has not been trained and would like to register voters, because even though we don't have an election this year, we are still registering voters and getting a head start on next year. So, excuse me, if people would like to do that, we'll probably have it at 6:15-ish and last for an hour. Let me know at RN_Pamela he found my butt. At yahoo.com. We would love to have you. We will have a group and it would be nice to have you. Even if you have registered, if you have trained in the past, but you want to kind of go through it again, please let me know sooner than later. And then on September 26th, mark the date, we have a new member party and everybody's invited. It will be at 6:30, Friday, September the 26th at O'Rourke's Public House at 1044 East Angela Boulevard. And we'll have our new members there, so come and get to know them. And it's always kind of a fun time. And this one is a time-sensitive thing from the state league. And this is about a policy. This is about an issue. That this is not about a party or a candidate, but the league is asking people to call our governor because of the gerrymandering. When Vice President Vance came to visit him yesterday, that was one of the conversations that they had to do with gerrymandering and trying to change the districting for Indiana to allow for more red not candidates, people in Congress. And the league is asking people to please give them a call, tell him that he needs to support. Well, this is what our CEO for the National says. The league stands for maps that reflect communities, not political calculations. Voters deserve stable, fair representation, not to be used as pawns in a power grab. When politicians rewrite the rules mid-game to protect their control, democracy loses. And we need to tell our governor that he is working for us and that he needs to listen to what we have to say. So that's that. And unless there is something that's urgent that someone else needs to say, I would like to introduce our speaker.
Pam, I just have a
knew it.
request. I just have a
What?
request. Would you please, in the chat, put the phone number that people can use to call Governor Braun?
Yes, I will do that. And I'm also going to put my email address for folks that would like to take the training again. Okay, but I won't do it this very minute. I'll wait till our speaker starts speaking. Okay, so today I am delighted to introduce Todd Zeltwanger.
Zeltwanger, yeah, that's close. That's good enough. I get called worse.
I bet you got called lots of things.
Oh yeah.
As you were growing up.
As long as it wasn't late for supper, I'm good.
Yeah, okay. He is the director of fund development for Cultivate Food Rescue. And he has held that position at Cultivate for the past 6 years. And prior to coming to Cultivate, he served as the vice president for development at Ancilla College for 10.5 years. He graduated from Purdue and has worked at a variety of sales and fundraising positions throughout his career. Todd lives in Bremen with his wife of 37 years. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And her name is Marty. And together they have 4 children and 6 grandchildren. And today he's going to talk to us with a title of No Neighbor Hungry, No Food Wasted, How Cultivate Food Rescue Began. And Todd, it's all yours.
Pam, thank you very, very much. I just want to thank each of you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to speak with you and to give you kind of a little history about how Cultivate began. Can you all hear me okay? So we just hit our 8-year-old birthday in July of 2017 is when Cultivate began. And I'll just give you a little history of how it even came about. It's kind of an interesting, fun story. There's a business down in Bremen where I live called Headsight. It's an agriculture business. I know the owner of that company, and he also owned a restaurant in the town. And one day, a new CFO came to work for him at Headsight. And one day they were looking over the books of Mr. Graham's different holdings. And he said, you know, Mr. Graham, that restaurant that you own there in Bremen is losing you money. You ought to close it down. And Mr. Graham said, well, I like the manager, Randy. He said, if we can't make a restaurant work, he said, you and him go figure out what we can do with that restaurant and to do something useful to help people. I'll help you get started, but you come up with the idea. So he and Randy put their heads together and they said, Randy always had the idea of improving the weekend meal quality for students that would receive weekend meals. And so they did some exploring and looked up to an organization down in Indianapolis called Second Helpings. And they went down to visit them in the spring of 2017. And it happened to be the day after the Indianapolis 500 race. And when they got down there, they saw all these volunteers and all this food. And they said, "What do you have going on down here?" They originally were going to use the restaurant to teach culinary arts classes. And so they knew that Second Helpings had a culinary curriculum. So they were going down to explore that first. But when they got down there, they saw all this food and all these people, and they said, "What is this?" And they said, "Well, this is our food rescue division." And all of a sudden, culinary arts became secondary and food rescue became primary. And they started asking questions and said, "I think we can do this in the South Bend area." So they came up north and approached Mr. Graham and said, "Here's what we'd like to try and do is to find food that currently is being wasted and use that rescued food," because Randy was a chef and he knew that a lot of food was being wasted, "and try to repurpose that food into a frozen TV dinner, if you will, for food insecure students." And so they came back to South Bend, and it was up at the same time that Notre Dame was renovating their football stadium suites. And he knew a representative at Notre Dame, Jessica Brookshire, who was knew that they were going to have food waste with these new suites. And so when they came together, they said, "Hey, we will donate food to you because we don't want to waste it. And hopefully you can use our food." Nelson's Chicken was one of our early food donors as well. And so it began. We started on Niles Avenue, the old Madison Center Hospital building, in July of 17. Had about 3,000 square feet there, had a freezer, had a refrigerator, and some volunteer space. And so we said, well, we need a pilot school to try this on. And so we reached out to Madison STEAM Academy in South Bend, right next to Memorial Hospital in South Bend, kindergarten through 5th grade, and said, "Hey, here's what we're thinking. Would you be willing to allow these meals to go home with your students? And let's just see about the impact, if this thing is going to work or not." So I remember being a part of that meeting. And it actually was not until a little later, I think it was in the spring of 2019, when we had this meeting, because it just took a while to kind of work through some of these things. So we sat down with the principal of the school, Deb Martin at the time, and she said something to me that I will never forget. And I always share this with the groups that I speak to when we talk to her about launching this pilot program with these students. She said, "Todd," she goes, "one of the things about our school is we never allow running in our school here except on Monday mornings." And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" She goes, "Well, when our kids get off the bus, they run to the cafeteria for breakfast because they hadn't eaten all weekend." And I said, "You're kidding me." She goes, "Come back." We went back on a Monday morning and they ran. And she said, "Now, a lot of the reason for our the food insecurity problem in our school is parental irresponsibility. But," she said, "when you're kindergarten, first, second grade, you can't go out and get a job and earn money to buy yourself food." So this was a perfect school to try this on. And that's what we did. So the food that we were able to rescue, they identified 100 students. And we started in the spring of 2019 and sent home these meals with these students. And so it began, and it was starting that the teachers would see the impact. They were not absent as much on Fridays because they knew they were going to take home 6 frozen meals that were microwavable for the weekends. They misbehaved less because they were on Monday mornings, especially because they had food over the weekend, and their academic performance improved. There was one less concern that they had. And so we said, okay, I think we have something here. And we did some exploration, and we still to this day are not aware of another organization in the entire country that is doing a frozen meal made with rescued food and giving those out to food insecure students on the weekends. There are many programs that are non-perishable food, the bags, the cans, the boxes, and those kind of things, but nothing made with perishable rescued food into a frozen type meal. And so it has just amazingly, and then, so we started out with 100 students, it grew. And Mr. Graham, who was the seed donor, I guess I would call him, from Bremen, he allowed us to get this started without having to had a lot of funds raised to try out the concept. He said, I will support you for a couple of years to get this going, and then I will step aside and you will need to have somebody that would do fundraising for you, which is me, to make this become sustainable. And so said, okay, thank you for helping us get started. And so we began to add more students, more schools, and then COVID hits in March of 2020. And honestly, we didn't know if we were going to survive because we were rescuing our food from events. And there were no games happening, no programs happening. Places were shutting down. And we thought, well, what are we going to do? We rescue food from these places and we prepare and give them out. So what started to happen though was, and one example was in April of 2018 or 2020, we started getting phone calls from places that were shutting down. And they said, hey, we have food in our freezer and in our cooler. We're going to throw it away unless you want it. You can come get it or we'll deliver it to you. So in the month of April, we rescued 80,000 pounds of food in 1 month. June of 2020, we got a call from Prairie Farms Dairy out of Fort Wayne. Said, we can bring you 1,700 gallons of milk every week if you can take it, because we can't get it through our normal distribution channels due to the supply chain issues that were caused by COVID. We said, bring it on. We started calling pantries. We were not serving food pantries at that time. We were strictly serving schools. But we started to call food pantries to say, hey, we've got milk available. How many gallons will you take? How many will you take? How many will you take? All of a sudden, we started building. This milk kept coming, and then bread. Bimbo Bakery called us. We've got multiple loaves of bread, English muffins. How many can you take? We'll take it all. So we said, here we thought we were going to close down, and now we're going to add a program, and that's to serve food pantries with this excess bulk food. And one thing led to another. We started getting more calls from other places with perishable food. And we had limited cold storage at that time, so we could only take so much of it. But we thought, as this kept growing, and today we're now serving over 200 food pantries in St. Joseph, Elkhart, and Marshall County with bulk food. And it's just incredible to see how much food is actually out there in the food system. And I will tell you, from a statistics standpoint, we waste 40% of our food supply in this country. And to give that a visual for you, if you think about the Rose Bowl football stadium in Pasadena, California, if you filled that stadium up with food every single day for a year, that's 130 billion pounds of food that gets wasted in our country every year. And we said, this has to change. I mean, there's enough food. It's a logistics problem. How do we get the food to a place like us? And we're kind of like a hub, if you will. Get the food in from all these different places, from stores, from event centers, from Notre Dame, from banquet halls, from farmers. Get it in, make it available, break it down, and then get it back out to the schools, to the pantries, to the senior citizen centers, to the veterans clinics, and all these places. And so another statistic is we rescued our very first year in operation from July of 17 to June of 18, 50,000 pounds of food. And that was the Madison Center location. So it grew the next year. And when COVID hit, we had already moved into our current location because we knew we were going to need another place. So in January of 2020, we moved to Prairie Avenue, 1403 Prairie Avenue, which was a building that was built by the South Bend Tribune newspaper in the 1950s. Some of you have been in here. You maybe knew that. But if you haven't been here, that building, the building we're in, was used to store big rolls of newsprint. And it would come in on the rail, on the train, and they would drop the paper off in the building, store it, and then haul the paper downtown to the press where they printed the paper. But as newspapers began to fall out of favor, the Tribune put the building up for sale. And then we bought it in January of 19. It took us 1 year to get it ready, moved in January of 20. 2 months before COVID. It was perfect timing because all this extra food was out there that we were getting access to. And so we were blessed to have the new space. And so, and now volunteers that come in here, we probably get now 5,000 to 6,000 different volunteers every single year to come in and help us do what we do. In 2024, we had enough volunteer hours to pay for 15 full-time employees for free. There's no way we could do what we do here without volunteers. So for those of you that have come in and volunteered with us in the past, thank you very, very much. And I hope you will consider maybe bringing a group from the league to come in sometime. We would find a shift time that worked for you to come in and help us out. So a couple of quick statistics for you. Try not to bore you with too many numbers, but there are 61,000 people that live in poverty in St. Joe, Elkhart, and Marshall County. Almost 24,000 of those 61,000 are children. In this country, the United States, 35 million people are food insecure in our country. We waste enough food, though, to feed 100 million people. As I said earlier, we have more than enough food to feed those who are hungry. We just have to find a way to get that food redirected, repurposed. And we feel like we are beginning to do that here at Cultivate and have done so now for 8 years. So one of the things that happens when you waste food and it goes into a landfill is methane gas production in the landfills. And that's not a good thing. Food is decomposing in landfills that cause methane emissions, and that's not healthy for our environment. So our mission statement, I'll read it to you. Through strategic partnerships, Cultivate Food Rescue will be a leader in perishable food rescue, procurement, redistribution, and education in order to meet the nutritional needs of communities. So the food bank, which is right up the road from us, normally they rescue more non-perishable food. We focus more on the perishable food, and because that's really the most healthy for people that are food insecure. And so we're trying to get this good, healthy food to nearby food pantries. And that's one of our initiatives, is to make sure that pantries are in the locations where the people that are in need live. Many of them have transportation issues. They can't get to some of the pantries that maybe are across town. So we're working with Purdue and Notre Dame to do research on where these pantry deserts are. And when I say pantry deserts, I mean there aren't pantries where there needs to be pantries. As you know, in the news, there are grocery stores that have closed down recently in some of these communities. And they're just not able to exist there, I guess, for a variety of reasons. So these are people that are in need of a Cultivate, and us working in tandem with the pantries. The way it's set up now, as all this bulk food is coming into us, and we have over 200 pantries in our network, every single day we put on a website that is an Amazon platform. We make available to them what we have, and they can order free of charge from us every single day if they want to. They can see what we have, order it. Our people will pick the order out of our warehouse, put it on a pallet. They can drive over here, pick it up, take it back to their pantry, and pass out the food. Or we'll deliver it to the pantry if we're going that direction to them. So I'm jumping around a little bit, but just the reason we built the new cold storage facility that is right behind our current building, and this was a $10.2 million capital campaign that we launched in the winter of 2022. And we said, if we're going to get in to be serious about this and really be able to handle the amounts of perishable food that's out there, we have to have more cold storage. That's the bottom line. That's the barrier. Because if you don't have cold storage, you can't accept and receive this food that needs to be refrigerated and or frozen. So I said, we worked with an organization out of Fort Wayne called the Tippmann Group. And they build cold storage facilities all over the country. And they heard about us, and we reached out to them and said, we don't know anything about building one of these. Would you come and help us? We were going to add it right to our current building and hook it right on to our existing building. When they came to town and met with us, they looked at our situation. They said, well, if you build it here, you're going to be landlocked and you won't be able to expand it. But there's looks like 2 acres of land just to your south, bare land that the city of South Bend owned. They were just mowing the grass. Said, can you get those 2 acres over here and build it there? So we approached the city. We had been around long enough. They knew what we did. And they said, yes, we see what you're doing. They sold us those 2 acres of land for $1,000. And they said, this is an enterprise zone. There'll be some tax credit possibilities here as well. And let's make it happen. So we went from 12,000 square feet to now 22,000 square feet is what the cold storage facility is. 2/3 of it's a freezer, 1/3 of it is a refrigerator. So if you ever come over and would like a tour and see it, we will, in the very near future, we hope, we can accommodate 75 truckloads in this facility of product. So, yeah, I see the question there. I'll get to that here shortly, but I said we rescued 50,000 pounds of food our first year, right? This last fiscal year, ending June 30th, we rescued 4.5 million pounds of food. So we went from 50,000 to 4.5 million in 8 years. And it's because of the generosity of our community, individuals, companies, churches, service clubs, foundations. Our vision statement, as I said earlier, is no neighbor hungry, no food wasted. 6 words everybody can remember. What we do is not rocket science. We have excess food, it's being wasted. Let's repurpose it, get it in. We have a chef here that knows how to put menus together for kids based on the food that we rescue, and then we make it available to these students. So how can we grow this and make more people? Our goal is to eventually rescue 20 million pounds of food per year. We were at 4.5 million last year. We have the capacity in this new facility to rescue 20 million pounds per year. All we need now that we have the building, is operating funds to add employees, trucks, to be able to get the food in and get it back out to people. Currently, 75% of the food that we rescue goes to those 200 plus pantries. 25% of the food that we rescue goes to the schools. This past school year, we served 1,500 students. each getting 6 of our frozen meals every single weekend during the school year. That's 9,000 meals a week, all put together by volunteers, all made with food that would have been thrown away and wasted. This coming school year, we're looking to serve 2,000 students in the same 3 counties, so 12,000 meals a week. And we want to eventually grow that to nearly 5,000 students. We have a location in Elkhart that we just opened up last November. We're leasing the space over there. We have a lot of schools that we support, pantries that we support, companies, RV companies that like to volunteer, but they said, boy, it's so far to come to South Bend. Could you set up a volunteer location in Elkhart? So we found one on County Road 17, the old Bullard's Farm Market, just north of the bypass. High visibility, not as big a building, don't have a kitchen there, so we take the food from here over there, and now people are starting to volunteer there and put more meals together for us. So that's part of our growth strategy. Part of the capital campaign, the 10.2 million, was the big freezer, refrigerator here, but also the Elkhart location and improving our office space here, adding a new parking lot. And now if you've driven by recently, we also have a solar canopy over the top of the parking lot. And that just got turned on. That will save us about $33,000 a year in utility costs in our current building by having that solar canopy there. A good sustainable practice for us, keeping in line with our food rescue initiatives. So lastly, I'll just mention before we get into questions, the other big thing that we do is we buy animals from the 4-H fairs this year in Marshall and in St. Joseph County. We use about 3,000 to 4,000 pounds a week of protein. So we need beef and pork. And so we help the 4-H student by buying their animals at the fair, getting them processed by local butcher shops, bringing that meat back to us. We put it in the meals for the kids, but we also put 2-pound packages of ground beef and ground sausage and make those available to pantries. And for a pantry, that is like gold to have that for those people. And so this past fair season, we purchased about 300 animals. And now that meat is coming into us. We want to grow that as well and make more protein available to our food insecure neighbors. So yes, we believe we can eliminate hunger in these 3 counties over the next 5 to 7 years because there is enough food out there. We just have to get it in, break it down, repurpose it, and get it back out to where the needs are. And that is our goal, to be able to do that. And we've taken big steps towards that by building this new cold storage facility. And we're excited about the future. And again, we've had so much community buy-in. You can't do this with 30 employees, which is what we have now. We have to have those volunteers, those financial and food donors, and it's happening. So I will be quiet. I could talk longer, but sometimes I ramble and I say a lot, but it's hard to follow, you know, in this setting too. But I know there's questions, and sometimes that can, you know, trigger other discussions. So I'll do my best to answer the questions that are coming in, Pam.
Okay, thank you, Todd.
You're
Boy,
welcome.
I want to come out and volunteer right now.
Let's go. We'll put you to work. You can
Gosh,
you can work in the kitchen, you can cut up vegetables, or you can
Oh.
put meals together. We'll put you to work.
and I'm also very proud of being from South Bend. They seem they're doing
Good
good.
things. We are.
Yeah. Okay, we do have a few questions, and people,
saw 'em
please
pop
put in
in.
your questions because we've got time. Um, the first question I had
Yes.
was, are there any regulations? I know that some places when you gift food, they
Yes.
can't take it if it's used food,
Correct.
but other places can. And I wondered if you had any regulations that you have about using used food, repurposed food.
Our stance is that if it's been prepared, if it's been served, we cannot rescue it. So we
Okay.
can't go to Golden Corral at midnight and take the food off the buffet line if it's been
Yeah.
put out for service. So anything that's in a hot box, ready to come out, but never comes out, that's the food that we rescue.
Okay. So
So
if somebody, like somebody has a funeral and they
yes,
have a repast, whatever that's
yes,
called, and they have extra food that's not been
yes,
eaten. I
not
know
been
my daughter
served.
takes stuff to the Dispense House and places like
Yes,
that. But
yes,
I didn't know if that kind of food could come to the
yes.
Cultivate.
We do get
Okay.
a lot of Nelson's chicken from their chicken sale that, you know, and then the big thermoses out there, it was cooked, but never put out
Yeah.
or made available. Or like the wrapped foil aluminum pans from these funeral dinners and weddings, you know,
Yeah.
that's in excess. We get calls, fish fries. Hey, we had a bunch of coleslaw left over. We get calls all the time from people. They'll either bring it to us or we'll go pick it up.
Okay. Sounds
Yes.
great.
Don't want to waste
Sue
anything.
Jessen said, I heard Cultivate is no longer supplying the libraries where a lot of homeless spend their days when it's cold. What
Yes.
happened?
Unfortunately, we had some abuse of the meals that were put into the library area. We had some, it was a library decision. There was some, I think, physical abuse that were happening. They were fighting over them, and it just became too unsafe. But they were certainly being utilized. I mean, the demand was there, the need was there. That was not the issue. And we could probably still be there today, but they just made the decision that it was just too unsafe, and they did not want to have to figure out a way to separate people from taking too many of them, or to have somebody up there saying, hey, you can only take one per day or one per meal or whatever. And so, unfortunately, we had to stop that.
And when you say take one, is this a prepared meal?
Yes,
Like the
they're
ones?
frozen meals that are in
Okay.
a freezer, then put into a microwave.
Okay. Beth North says, I understand Cultivate in its drive for environmental sustainability is looking for ways to produce its frozen meals from rescued food in containers that will be compostable, rather than plastic, which we know doesn't really get recycled, and it ends up breaking down and getting into even our bodies eventually. Are
Yes,
any of the research partners at Purdue and Notre Dame doing packaging sustainability research?
it is being looked at. The package that we currently use, because of the temperature differentials between freezing these meals and then putting them in a microwave, they're made to be able to hold up under those conditions. That's why we use the container we currently use, but we are definitely exploring how we can have those containers be recyclable. We're just not there yet, but it is being looked at. Yes.
Okay. When students get the food, like they get food on weekends, do their parents get any food?
Well, we don't send meals home for their parents. However, they may share those meals with their parents, because the meals are usually a pound and a half of food, and especially for a young elementary child, there's usually more than enough for them. And so, and if there's other siblings at home, you know, we can't control it once it gets home, how many people put their hands on it and try to eat those. We try to send home 4 lunch, dinner type meals and 2 breakfasts every weekend for each student.
Okay.
But but yeah, I would say that there are probably some parents who do eat them.
Yeah, I hope they share them with the kids.
Yes,
For the pantries, do they get food in bulk or do they get frozen dinners also?
both. They can, on the ordering site, they can order both.
Okay.
So, but majority of the meals are going to the schools, but now we're finding that the pantries are finding that their clients, it's easy for a senior citizen. Hey, I don't want to have to go buy groceries to cook for myself if I'm living alone. I can pop one of these meals into a microwave, and it's nutritional and it's easy. And so we're starting to see that pick up a bit
Yeah.
at
Does
those
Meals on
places.
Wheels ever utilize you?
Well, when COVID hit, we worked with them in tandem and helped with distribution when they couldn't get out to some of their homes. And so some of the frozen meals of ours were distributed to their clients as well. I don't think we're doing it as much anymore, but at one time, because they more focus on the hot meals, as you know. But we did supplement with our frozen meals.
Okay.
Yes,
And Ellen Trebold said, I have volunteered at Cultivate and am very
thank
impressed
you.
by the operations, the dedicated workers, the volunteers, and you're doing incredible work. Thank you.
Wow, thank you for those kind words. Yes, yes.
Beth said, I heard a statistic that 40% of American food consumption is highly processed food, which is linked with chronic disease and obesity and heart disease and cancers. Seems to me your food is healthier.
Yes, our chef is very sensitive to those things. We use very little salt. We try to use frozen vegetables instead of canned. But now we're getting fresh fruits and vegetables in from farms. Southwest Lower Michigan, we're getting peaches, cantaloupe. We've got arrangements. Michigan State has some farms in Southwest Lower Michigan that we've connected with. And so once they are able to pick what they need for their purposes, then we get the excess. And tomatoes, sweet corn, just got a Gaylord full of sweet corn from a local farmer. So a lot of people that donate to us, whether it's animals or fruits or vegetables, since we are a not-for-profit, they can receive a tax deduction for donating it to us. And so for animals, they can take 2 times the cost of producing the animal off their taxes if they donate it to us. A lot of farmers that are raising livestock and selling them to market, if they have like a ruptured belly pig or a cow that breaks its leg that they can't sell normally through the market, they could donate that to us. We can get the animal processed, send them a tax deduction letter, and use the meat. So we're always on the lookout for ways that we can increase the amount of protein that we can get in and the healthy food that's out there. Now, we get a lot of food from frozen food warehouses. I'll give you an example. There's one down in Franklin, Indiana, that's 1 million square feet. We were down to see it. They store food for a lot of the Kroger stores down there. So what happens is the store manager orders food for his store or her store, and then it gets shipped to the stores out of that warehouse. Well, what we found was about 150 truckloads of product go to that warehouse every single month, but 15 to 20 truckloads never make it to the stores. Either the store manager decides they change their mind, they don't want it, the packaging's bad, it's too close to the date, whatever the reason is. They said, no, we can't take it now. Well, in the past, that food would be taken to the landfill because they got more food coming in all the time. So now with Cultivate, with us, and now having our new cold storage facility, we can say, bring it up here. We'll take it. We can handle truckload quantities now. We break it down, we store it here, we get it, and then make it available to pantries that can order it from us. So there's multiple frozen food warehouses across the Midwest, and we're always developing new relationships with a lot of these potential food donors who are looking for places like us to send this food to. They don't want to throw it out, but if there's no other places like us out there, then they have no choice. But now we're able to say, hey, get it up here and we'll make good use of it.
Wow. Are you going out to other places, to other states and stuff, telling them how wonderful you are?
Well, we haven't intentionally done that, but we are getting requests from
Yeah,
other cities in Indiana saying, could you start a Cultivate here? Because we cover
yeah,
3 counties, you know.
yeah. Wow.
So we are talking to some other people about helping them get something started like this. Certainly you can replicate this. Like I said earlier, it's not rocket science what we do, but you do have to have people that understand food safety and, cooling food down properly when you rescue hot food. Like the Notre Dame home football games up in the suites, it's an all you can eat game long buffet, right? So they over prepare. You can't run out. People pay a lot of money to sit up there. The last thing, you can't run out of food. and it's not peanut butter and jelly, right? So it's good food. So we rescue probably 3 to 4,000 pounds after every home football game from the suites, and they bring it down on the elevator at the end of the third quarter of the games. The food that was in the hot boxes, ready to come out but never came out, that's what they send down. We load it onto our truck, bring it over here to Cultivate, put it in the cooler. The next week, volunteers come in, take that food, turn it into a meal, and away we go. So that's one example of a place that now football season is upon us. They feed the players 3 times a day. We rescue from the Goog, where they feed the players 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And what's really cool is in the past, the football team would come and volunteer here and process the food that they were served
Ah,
that they didn't
cool.
eat. You wouldn't think there'd be extra food with a football team, right? Those big guys, you'd think they'd never have any extra food, but they did. And so it gave them a firsthand experience to say, wow, here's food that would have been thrown away that we didn't eat. And now we
Yeah.
can turn it into a frozen meal for a food insecure child in our community. And those players walked away feeling pretty good about what they did. The university's been amazing. I mean, I bet they've had every department of the university in here to volunteer. About every week, we have at least one department that volunteers here.
Yeah.
They donate food, they donate finances to us, and we wouldn't be here without them, certainly. But we're Amazon has now that they're building in New Carlisle, they've come to us and said, we want to partner with you. Certainly we use their ordering platform for the pantries, but now they're sending volunteers and they're helping us with financially as well. The new battery plant that's going in, they've been here for a tour. They want to get involved.
Yep.
So it's individual people, like I said, companies, churches, service clubs, foundations. Those are the 5 main categories of donors that we have.
Yeah.
And people can donate to us like from their required minimum distribution from their IRA. If they send it
Yeah.
to us, that satisfies that. It helps us, it helps them. And so we're going to have to grow our operating budget. Now, my job's not getting any easier because in order to rescue that 20 million pounds of food a year, we've got to have more dollars. But so far, it's coming in.
Very
saw
good. Do
another-
you also get any help or stuff from IUSB and Bethel?
Not a
And,
lot. They use Sodexo as their food service provider. We've had conversations with them, but they tell us they have very little food waste. So we'll believe that, but we're not totally sure that that's 100% true. So, but we haven't gotten a lot of food from them.
Okay.
Century Center,
Okay.
after they have events
Yeah.
and other things that usually they'll give us a heads up. Hey, we're going to have a big event or the weather's bad or something and half the people don't show up. We get those calls. We can turn that product around. Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, Costco, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Fresh Time. Those are a lot of our food donors currently that are local here. And of course, the kids love the Chick-fil-A sandwiches and fries that they get that sometimes in their meals if we have a rescue from all
Yeah.
the Chick-fil-A's that support us.
Okay. Sue Kessam said, I heard that at school, sometimes the adults take away the food and the kids are still hungry.
At the school? In the kitchen, you mean?
I heard
that what
at
she's saying?
schools, sometimes the adults, maybe she means on weekends. I don't know.
Well, that could happen once the meals go home with the student that the child doesn't get them if the adults somehow
Yeah.
say, hey, I'm bigger than you. Oh, on weekends.
On weekends. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does happen and it's unfortunate, but we can't police that. Oh, obesity. What was the question there?
I'm sorry, Judy. I thought I did that and I didn't. She had a question, is obesity as much or more of a problem as hunger? If so, then what can be done in the way of nutrition education? And is it getting people to eat better food?
Well, I know I'm not an expert in that area, but certainly obesity is an issue. And so nutritional education is important. We haven't done a lot of education in those areas to talk about that. We just do all we can to make the meals as healthy as possible from the food that we rescue. And because we know the last thing you want to do for a food insecure person is to give them food that's junk that, is sets their health back and causes more problems. And even a young person, with all the processed food that's out there, our meals, we believe, are healthier. And so we are sensitive to it. It's, but I would say obesity is certainly an issue that just exists and that we could be addressing and doing a better job of addressing that issue as well.
Beth North, what about St. Margaret's House? Do they give their constituents frozen meals to take
Yeah,
home from you?
they do. They are one of our pantry partners. Yes. I don't know all the food items that they take from us, but they're certainly available to them to order from us on the platform that we use. Either the bulk food that they want to maybe rescue and cook in their kitchen, or they can certainly take frozen meals. Ronald McDonald House, they get a lot of the frozen meals from us too, because a lot of families come in late at night, they're hungry. The kitchens, they usually serve a hot meal there, and we do help with that from time to time, but the frozen meals are in their freezer. So a family can have one at any time of day or night to help satisfy that need while they're in a tough spot with their child.
Now, and I didn't put this in the message thing because I didn't have time because I was talking to you. But
Yeah,
if also all of these foods are cooked already,
most of the food that we rescue has already
rice,
been prepared,
meat,
but we
all
cook
that
food too.
stuff has
Unprepared
been
food we'll
cooked.
cook.
So you cook it
Yes,
there,
yes.
and then
We have
people put it into trays.
correct. That's the
Okay,
volunteers that come in. Once the food comes out in a pan, they'll scoop it into the 3-compartment tray, pass it along, seal it up, freeze them,
okay.
and bag them back to the schools or wherever, and that's how they get distributed. But our chef, we have a lot of volunteers that come into the kitchen. So when we get food like that, they can be cutting up vegetables, or we have two big tilt skillets where they can make big, huge quantities of pasta with the
Okay.
rice that we've rescued or wherever else, whatever else is there. So yeah, it's quite a process, and but we're so blessed to have so many people that come in on an ongoing basis. They don't come once and never come back. I mean, most people come regularly, and again, we could never do all that we do without them. So we are very, very blessed.
Sue Kessam says Unity Gardens in Portage Township has a Nourish program to teach people.
Wonderful.
Saturday noons at UG is one on how to make healthy tacos.
Okay. Yeah, we work with Sarah Stewart there at Unity Gardens too, and we kind of
Okay.
help each other. And so it's been a great, just the fact that we're both kind of trying to help people, maybe in different ways, but um,
And when you get food, it's always volunteer. You don't pay for food, except
correct.
for 4-H
Animals, right?
kids,
Yes,
but the rest of it is all
is
volunteer.
donated. Yeah, every now and then we may have to buy some frozen vegetables from time to time if we're running low, but for the most part, all the food that we use in our meals or give to the pantries has been donated to us.
Okay. Is there any other question from anybody? Does anybody have a last question?
I would like to ask the assembled members of the league here. Does anyone feel the drive internally to take on organizing a group of members from the League of Women Voters to go to Cultivate
Sure.
Food Rescue as a group to volunteer on a shift? If so, I think that's something that would be a wonderful side light, but right now we do things that we have volunteers who are willing to get behind and support and do, because there are, you know, there we can't do everything.
No.
But if somebody does want to take that under their wing, I would certainly help get the communication out about it and advocate for it. Right now, though, you know, we can individually volunteer, and that's about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, Todd, how big of a group do you usually get? Is it, do we need a group of 6 or a group of
If
10
you
or?
if you wanted to cover an entire shift, I would say 10 to 15 is a good number. Now,
For
if
an
you have
entire shift?
for 2 hours, if you wanted to if you're smaller than that, you can then just join with the others that might be there that at that same time. But
Okay,
to handle the, to make it the most efficient possible, I would say 10 to 15 is a good number.
okay. Well, we had 10 people here today.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay,
get you all.
So I can connect whoever with Brian Horvath, who's our volunteer coordinator here. He would work with your contact person to set up a time and a day to come in.
Sure, I will. I'll do that.
Time of day, usually 9 to 11 in the mornings, every morning.
You are
Monday
not
through
allowed to
Friday.
take one more thing on, Madam Wycliffe. You are not
She's-
allowed. You're not
Well,
allowed. We're going to
we'll talk
recruit
about that
somebody
later.
else to do that.
We'll talk about that later. What time of day are the shifts? Oh, Sue said. What time
Yeah.
of day are the
Yep.
shifts, and are there weekend shifts?
There are weekend shifts, Saturday mornings, usually 9 to 11, sometimes 11:30 to 1 even on a Saturday. But every morning, weekday morning, Monday through Friday, we're 9 to 11. Most every evening, Monday through Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. And then we're now starting to get some afternoon shifts from some businesses that are coming like once every month, the same, say third Wednesday of every month or something, they come in, and that can be in the afternoon. So we try to work with the group on what's best for them. And
Okay.
then we have a volunteer shift leader that will work and bring the food out and tell the people what to do and show them how to do it and get you ready.
Todd, thank you so very much.
You are
It's
welcome.
been wonderful. The history has been delightful, and the organization is amazing. And we're very lucky to have you and to have Cultivate in our community.
Pam, thank you. And if you want more information, cultivatefoodrescue.com is our website. And I will send you, Pam, if it's all right, there's a
Yeah.
link to a short video
Okay,
that gives a good overview about who we are and what we do that your folks there might want to send out to their networks and make
okay.
others aware of it. We have our big Taste of Hope event coming up next Thursday night at the Century Center. It's our annual fundraiser gala event. We're expecting 700 people, and it will be our fundraiser for the coming school year as we seek to raise funds to feed those students. So,
Oh, wait a minute. I do have a question. One more
yes.
question. And that is, you have to raise money. Why are we, if people are donating all the food, you have to that's to pay your volunteer. That's to pay your
Employees.
Okay.
And the
Duh.
operational utility costs and insurance and fuel.
Yeah. I was being stupid.
That's all right.
Good.
No,
Okay,
totally fine.
well, you all, thank you very much. Oh, one person asked, what is next month? Next month will be Dr. Migliori, who is the head of the health department at South Bend Health Department, to talk to us. So that will be interesting as well. And it's the second Friday at noon to 1. So everybody come back. And thank you all for coming. And Todd, thank you for coming
You
and
are
for
welcome
sharing your
anytime.
passion.
You all have a great weekend. Thanks for having me.
You as well. Thank
All
you
right.
all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.